Well, hello everyone. My name is Zenzi Sewa, as you know, and I'm here today with our guest, who is Arlene Cohen-Miller, who is a work-life balance and harmony coach for women. But prior to that, she was an attorney. And as you know, my podcasts are about the different tools that we've got that we may not even understand. Things to help us to overcome the anomalies, the challenges within our life. So, without much ado, I'm handing you over to Arlene. And Arlene, good morning, because I'm in London and you're where?
I'm in Colorado, which in
You're
the
in
United
Colombia.
States, but in the early hours of the morning, almost 7 a.m.
Yes, and amongst the hills as well, which I thought was rather nice. And you're 6 hours behind, so it's like what is the time like? 1:45, 1:58, nearly 2 o'clock here, and in your side of the world, you're something like 8 o'clock in the
No,
morning.
like almost 7 a.m.
Almost 7 a.m. So thank you so much for getting up that early. So it just shows you the wide spans. So Arlene, tell us a bit more about yourself, how you jumped from, I say jumped, but probably how you moved from being an attorney to a harmony balance coach for women. What drove you to that?
Well, I decided when I was 15 that I was going to become an attorney, first one in my family. I
Yeah.
don't think anyone believed me to begin with, but I went through it and I graduated from law school and um, I moved with my,
Did I disappear there?
yes, I did. Yes, you did. Should I keep on talking? I didn't talk while you were gone.
Okay. So I'm having a bit of problem with my connection here. So thank you very much. Please continue.
Okay, so I graduated from law school and I moved with my then husband up to another part of the United States and worked for a couple attorneys for another year. And I opened my own practice, my own solo practice law firm when I was 29.
Oh,
And I immediately found out that I was pregnant. And so my whole family was down in the southern USA, as was my partners. And we hadn't been in the Midwest of the US for that long. So I really didn't have the friends and connections and the tribe around me to be a working mother, starting my own business and taking care of a child and going through pregnancy just as I opened my company. So I think I know the reason that and I didn't have, there weren't work-life balance coaches. There weren't coaches then. There was counselors and psychologists,
yes.
and I did use some of those to help me, but it really wasn't what I needed. And so I learned how to be a mother, a working mother, and to take care of a child, and to grow a business, from the ground up. And so I feel really passionate about helping women who are, especially working women, or just have a very busy life in today's world, and they need some help balancing and harmonizing things out. And that's sort of what led me there. I was an attorney for many, many years. And the last like 6 or 7 years of my practice, I got a diploma in transformational holistic counseling,
Ah,
in also in mentoring and coaching, and I'm a certified meditation facilitator. And I used all of those in the practice of law. They were very helpful with communicating with people, with negotiating settlements, with working with the people that work for me, all kinds of things. And I just got to the point that I just knew it was time to make a change. I'd been an attorney, like I said, for many, many years. I'm a grandmother. And so in my 50s, I made the change and we sold the practice. By that time, I had a practice with a partner in the West where I live now. And that's what happened. And that's why I am a work-life balance and harmony coach for women.
oh, bless you. My gosh. And what I find fascinating is that you did all that training whilst you were an attorney of law. And but what really made you click and think, well, this is good to add to this?
Well, I just had this feeling. Well, I had two friends that were very. I always like and really been focused on doing things from the heart. And one of my friends graduated from a coaching and mentoring school and felt like it was way too heady, that it wasn't spiritual enough. And she actually just channeled and put together her own school using the tools of the International Coaching Federation, which I am certified with. And she was sort of cajoling me, saying, "Arlene, don't you want to do this? Don't you want to do this for a few years?" And I will admit, I was really a snob. I'm like, I have a degree, and then I finally thought, 4 years of college, 3 years of law school, but I finally thought, I really need to do this. She's right, and it really opened my eyes because I thought I was a good listener. I wasn't. I wasn't at all, and it really just gave me tools and skills. And the other diploma, another friend of mine did the same. She opened her own counseling school because she had gone through everything and she didn't think she loved the training, but she didn't think it was heart-based and spiritually based enough. And so I went through that. And another friend of mine started meditation, going to like a university was in US and then moved back to Australia where she lives and started her own thing there. And I'm like, I need that. That would help me with my law practice. So it just all sort of like naturally flowed. And I'm grateful that I listened, really grateful.
Good. So you listened, you made that transformation from attorney to your coaching. And how did it affect your life in general? I'm sure it wasn't a case where it was something you just liked, but how did you incorporate that within your life and then want to incorporate that into other people's lives?
It just sort of happened naturally. It wasn't like I thought I need to incorporate this into my life.
Mm,
I need to incorporate this. It didn't
mm,
happen like that. People started coming to me for the coaching and the mentoring, and I was doing some things in person. Now I do things in person and online. Wanting some assistance, maybe they had a small business and they were stuck and they wanted some mentoring and coaching to, see where to from here. Or I just had some people that knew me from the law and were going through stuff in their practices or whatever. And so it just sort of organically grew. And
mm.
then I just, it was too much because it was too much after a while. The law is a very demanding profession. It's not like coaching where you can sort of set your own schedule. And it was just time to make that change.
Okay. Yeah. So I think like a lot of us, as we travel through life, we start off with one path and then it leads us to another path, and we change within ourselves, and we find that this is more cohesive to us. And as you say, it's a spiritual thing, it's a heartfelt thing, it's a thing that you care, and it has to come from that inner place. And so you've gone into this coaching and you've started your practice. How have you felt that? Have you? All right, you've used it to help others. How have you used it within your own life?
Well, yeah, because as coaches and as mentors, if we don't apply it to ourselves, if we don't live it ourselves, how can we possibly help other people? Because what I feel that I'm doing as a coach and a mentor is that I'm holding a very huge judgment-free, unconditionally loving space for people. And so if I'm not holding it for myself, if I'm not modeling it for them and holding it for myself, then how can I possibly be of service?
Yeah.
So I've been on a deep spiritual path, very intense kind of spiritual path
That's
for
it.
about 22 years. And before
Yes.
that, I was dabbling. I knew that there was something that I wanted. I knew that I felt like a square peg trying to fit into a round hole from the time I was a small child, because I was so much more sensitive, intuitive, and empathic than my brothers or anyone around me. But I really didn't know. I didn't understand. I remember one time when I was about 7, we were driving down the street to our house, and I told my mother, I thought I was born, I'm sure that I was born to a house down the street. These were my parents, and I told her, and she's like, and she thought I was just a kid with imagination. But I literally felt like, I loved my parents. They were wonderful people. And I love my brothers, but I just literally felt like I'd been born into the wrong family because no one sort of got me, in a way that I wanted to be gotten. So yeah, I sort of knew it as from a small child, and I did incorporate that with because I did start the training in my mid 40s really intensely into my practice of law and into what I was creating with coaching and mentoring. Just because, like
Yeah,
you said, and like I see you nodding your head, if we're
yeah,
not if we're not giving ourselves that love and that self care and filling our cup up with love and learning how to help other people move forward with the tools and skills that we have, we can't really be of service because you can really spot someone who's just talking about all this from the head, but they're really not practicing it in their life. It's really like it just comes at you like, wow, that's different. That's not really what I'm doing. And so that's a little bit more about me.
yeah. I'm glad you said that, because I find many of us who are on this spiritual path, it isn't something that just happens suddenly. It's there with us. It's just waiting to find an outlet. And it was interesting when you say from the age of 7, you could pick up and say to your parents, "Oh, I think I used to live over there." And that was part of past memories. But again, that's your spiritual side that's still there and still linked. And as you said, you're different from the rest of your brothers and sisters. You have this intuity, and this is your spirituality, and this is where our gifts now start to rear its head and go through our life. So we start on one path, as you did with the attorney, and find yourself going into another side. And so, what I would like you to speak about a bit more is, okay, you've had this, you've used it, and quite rightly, because if we don't use this for ourselves, we then really can't understand other people, and it's an ongoing journey. It's and I like you said you've been going for 50 odd years, and this is an ongoing thing. It never stops, because we're changing all the time, we're experiencing all the time, and we're questioning ourselves all the time. And therefore, now when you're now working with people with this, how what I suppose, it makes you feel good, but how has it impacted on others?
I don't know, they probably have to speak for themselves, but it really feels to me like what I help people do is like see, well, there's many ways that I help people like open their eyes, but lots of times, especially women, we put these glass ceilings up for ourselves. We say we can go this far and we can't go any further. And I actually experienced that earlier in my life, like my first year of law school, where my father was a wonderful, wonderful man, a beautiful entrepreneur. He was like my role model for going into business for myself. But he also came from a very traditional background where he was happy to put me through all this education, but he wanted me to know that it was okay to stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom. And that was never felt to be part of my life plan. So my first year of law school, I had all this conflict inside of me because I loved my father. I wanted to please him inside me. I didn't realize this was going on, but I was sort of sabotaging myself and putting a glass ceiling on myself
Yeah,
that was preventing me from being my best. So I see that in a lot of women and a lot of men when I do transformational mentoring, where we said we can go this far and we're stopping ourselves from really blossoming and being our highest, clearest, brightest selves. And so what I can do is help them to see that. And we can work with all sorts of tools, like even one tool that I love to ask people is that, if there were no limits and you were going to be going forward in this area of life, maybe it's relationships, maybe it's work, it could be anything where you just know that there's this thing that you can't seem to get beyond it. There's absolutely no limits. How do you visualize this area of your life being? And that can be the beginning of just opening that door and holding that beautiful, loving space for them that's judgment free, when they can begin to explore that for themselves and see what comes up for them. Because for me, when I had a mentor and a coach ask me that and hold space for me, it was like a life changing moment. It never had occurred to me to go into that sort of visualization and expansive space and actually visualize and feel what that would look and feel like.
lovely, absolutely lovely. Yes, because in this way you are guiding people to know the tools they can use to unblock those blockages, and to realize in themselves that there are no limits. and also giving them the tools that they can use, everyday tools, everyday tools. Can you speak a bit more about the balancing and the harmony and the coach in general, and probably the feedback you get from those you work with?
It's a lot of questions at once. I'll start where I think that where I start at the beginning with people, in order to have that balance, in order to have that harmony, is it has to come, of course, from the inside out. And I always share with people, there's life hacks, there's mom hacks, there's all these things we can use to have more time in our life, to be more organized. Like, for example, one mom hack is, do your grocery shopping online and have it delivered to your house in the United States. So you don't have to take the kids to the grocery store. It's delivered to you. Maybe it saves you 3 or 4 hours a week. So there's all different kinds of things we can do to, quote, save time so our lives are not that hectic. But if
Okay.
we don't take care of the overwhelm and the stress and all the things that we're feeling inside that take us out of balance, to send us into fear instead of being in that aligned space of love, then it's not going to help that much. So one of the first things that I help people with is just to be aligned to love and centered in their hearts. And one easy way, one easy tool that you can do this with, there's many ways you can do it, of course, I'm sure you know some as well, is to pretend that you're a tree. And, even if you can go out in nature and do this, it's just like you have this column of light going down your body, down your legs, out your feet, as huge roots of light. And then those roots are anchoring to the heart of the planet. And of course, the planet is embodied by a beautiful being called Gaia. And so your heart connecting with her, and we are her children, and she
Hmm.
loves us unconditionally. And so we're really grounded, and she can help pull our grounding cords more deeply into the planet so we really feel fully present here now. And when we're fully present, we're not worrying about the future. We're not beating ourselves up about the past. We're just right here. And when we're right here, it's a lot easier to handle anything that's going on in our life versus if we're all scattered, where our physical body's here, our emotional body's over here, our mental body's over here. Who knows where our spiritual body is? And we feel like we're really, where am I? So that's one of the first things that I help people to do, is to really begin to feel grounded, which helps us to be aligned to love and centered in our hearts.
Lovely. And I think that is the most important thing that we need to, I suppose, educate people about, is that there are no limitations, but everything begins with us and our hearts, because the heart is the first organ that's created when a child is being made within you. And the heart is the communication from us to the universe, the creator. And so the heart is a very important organ that we need to really feel. And I like when you said about us, we're here on Earth and being grounded to Gaia, which is Mother Earth, and to really see ourselves and pushing our energy into that. And I think what people need to realize, so we need to give time, and really time on a daily basis, to these different things so that we can. How do you, what do you advise people to do when it comes to practicing these different genres? What time span do you encourage them to take?
Well, sometimes people get really overwhelmed if I say you must take a half an hour when you get up or whatever to do something or before you go to bed. So we just start with small steps, and they can begin to experience, the benefits of it. On my um, on my in person and online classes that I have every week, in addition to coaching and mentoring, it's more like spiritual mentoring. I walk them through a process of how they can cleanse and clear themselves and protect themselves, and they can record it on their cell phones and work with it. It's sort of like proprietary from the school I'm with. They have to like feel it and experience it first. But some of the things that we can do is like, it's very simple things. We're not just connected to the heart of the planet. We're connected all the way up to source, and we can feel that. We can connect with that, and one way that sometimes we can start is just to connect with that energy of the father-son energy, because it's a very expansive, loving, solar father energy, in our solar system. And
Yeah.
so to be connected with that mother energy from the planet and all the way up with that column of light to that father energy, and have that energy being pouring into us as well. Of course, we're being appreciative and grateful for that energy and sending our love and gratitude as well. It is helpful because it's important for people feel isolated. They need to know that you are never ever alone, and how to
Yes.
begin to connect with those energies and make sure that the energies are only, what I say is, you must put up like a golden bubble of protection around yourself. And I am only open to the energies of unconditional love and higher. Anything else goes back to its source. So it has
Yes.
to be love that's given freely with no expectation of getting anything back in return. We're not open to anything that's about fear, only about unconditional love and higher. And so that's one of the beginning things that I can help people with, and they can begin to practice and experience on their own.
That is so, that is very lovely and very interesting, because I think the people are listening, they are really getting some nuggets from you, simple things that can be done on a daily basis. And if they can't, at least every other day. But they're so simple, as you said, grounding yourself and using your imagination, and looking at that light from the heart going up into the universe to the creator, and realizing the creator above, Mother Gaia below, and that connection just flowing, and recognizing that everything is love, and being safe, as you said, to create that bubble around them and say, anything other than love, go back to you, to where you come from. I am only here for love, because this is what we are supposed to, how we're supposed to be living. We're living from the creator, who's unconditional love, and we've
Right.
forgotten that.
Yeah.
And what feedback do you get when you're giving these to your clients? Do you get feedback and how it's affected them, or how they, things that they felt within themselves shifting, maybe?
I do get that, but I also get the pleasure, without them saying anything, of just watching them, like especially with my online classes when I'm doing group work, because I feel like in the age of Aquarius that it doesn't work as well to be a lone wolf. If we come together as a group of like-minded souls, we can evolve and grow much more quickly. And I especially can see the people that come in those group situations where I can feel them changing from week to week. And some of them will give like testimonies of what's happening to the newer people, of how they're different now. One woman came in and she just had about 4 or 5 people recently die in her family.
Oh,
A lot of difficult things, and it was
mm,
pulling her down. And the thing is that, of course, what we focus on, the law of attraction, is what we get more. We need to feel our feelings, because
yes,
feeling is healing, but we still have to be aligned to love. We
yeah,
still have to be aligned to, being our highest, clearest, brightest source, and
yeah.
whatever else that entails, as we feel all these feelings. And, she's a different person now. And
Oh,
and after a couple of months, she is one who always shares every week how much this helps the new people that are coming to these classes. And so, the answer to your question, it really depends on the person. Do they apply what I'm giving them? Is it working for them in your life? Because of course, practice makes permanent. And if you don't apply these tools and skills and ways of being, at least give it a go, nothing's going to change.
exactly, exactly. And sometimes, if you find that maybe you're telling them one way, you then, at least I do, then I try to guide them in another way, because we're all different. We've all
Right.
got different karma going on, different things that are affecting our life, different things that are making us think differently and act differently. And so therefore, it has sometimes have to be tweaked. And where there's sometimes is a slow result, there's a reason for it,
Right. Absolutely.
that they have to look closer and probably ask in a different way. How do you find how do you treat somebody where others are doing and they're going forward and they're getting results, and there may be a few that are not moving so quickly. How do you cope with that one? How do you advise them in that way?
Well, I share with them, that with mentoring, with the people that have mentored and coached me, they have basically said many of the same things to me in a million different ways. And sometimes it's been like years, and all of a sudden I think I got it, but it's in my head, and the penny drops, and I get it in my heart. And I say
Yes,
that's why I repeat things to you, coming at different angles. My business is Jewel Consultancy, because there's so many angles on that diamond that things can come from. And I know from my personal experience, there's some things that have taken years for the penny to drop and for me to really feel it. And so, just every time that I share something, even if it might sound familiar, we're going to greet it anew, because you're new, you've evolved, you've grown, and don't be concerned when the penny drops. We all have our own path,
yes,
and we don't want to compare ourselves to other people, because that's judgment, and
yeah.
that's not helpful. And I've done that. And then all it did was bring my vibration down, and then I had to build myself back
Ah.
up again and say no to that stuff. So, absolutely excellent point to make.
I know, and I keep on saying this, and I know you keep on saying it is an ongoing journey, because as we find we step up there, and then something else it happens, and some things we can clear, some things we're still clearing, still, working on, and it's fine because we're all different.
Right.
And this is why, as you said earlier on, that we're coaches, but we're applying it to our lives, and we're walking it as well. So we understand that it is a journey. It's not um, do this and everything's right tomorrow. No, no, no. It's a cleaning process. It's a clearing process. It's a changing. It's a transformational process. And we're dealing with every instance in life, because what we're dealing with today, there's something else in the next 6 months, in the next week, in the next. So it's a continual thing. Um, when you're working with your students, what are the things what are should I say problem, what are the challenges they come to you most of all, that they need to overcome, or things that they're finding difficulty with?
I mean, I think there's some people have trouble at work. A lot of people are having trouble balancing things at home. They feel pulled in many directions, because they have, a lot of people put these expectations on themselves that are not, they're they're like way out of, they're like they expect to do as much in one day as it might take them a week, or they expect themselves to be perfect, and they're beating themselves up for their mistakes. And I have to remind them, well, mistakes are opportunities to learn and grow. What can you learn from this, so the next time this situation or something similar arises, how you could do things differently? So oftentimes what gets in the way, generally speaking, it it doesn't really matter what the details are, is
Hmm.
judgment. What keeps them
Yes,
running around that hamster wheel is they're judging their situation, and they're judging themselves for judging the
yes,
situation, and they just get really, really stuck. And so helping people to let go of that judgment and visualize and feel how they could do it differently when those situations present that they judge themselves, and notice, how they're placing unrealistic expectations on themselves, and that is causing them to contract, and the places where they do contract, and how they can begin to expand back out again, and because they're letting go of all those, I should do this or I should do that, instead of replacing with I could do this, or I could do that, where there's no judgment there.
mhm. And in so doing, again, it's being steadfast, being consistent in the tools you give them to use. And it's funny because, as you said earlier, sometimes it's about how consistent are they using the tools, how they use the tools, and all the. And so when there is blockages, and when there is a frustration, and it is going back to, are you using the tools? How are you using the tools? How often do you use the tools? And do you find it's giving them that encouragement that these tools are there, have faith in them and use them for your guidance.
Yeah, I do that, but I always come from the heart and use discretion because some people, I feel that I'm a seed planter. I'm just planting seeds in their heart for another life. They're not really ready to dive in and use all these tools. They're getting a lot from being in the energies, from being in the group,
Mhm.
but something's holding them back, and I need to let them make the decision when they want to dive deeper. And so for me to tell them you have to do this, you have to do that, I can encourage them, but I'm not going to judge them if
Mhm.
some people come and go because I'm just planting seeds that they needed to be planted, but they're not ready. They're not ready on a lot of different levels to make that commitment, or maybe just their human being is more in control than the soul and the spirit, and they're not willing to give up certain things in order to make room for that spiritual heart-based growth. And so my job also is just accepting where people are at, loving them, helping to plant those seeds, and with the people that are ready to grow more, to encourage them and help them in
Mhm.
that way.
You're absolutely correct. Yes, I find that as well. It is very important when you are coaching somebody, when you're working with somebody. And as I said, there's not one hat that fits all, everybody's individual. And your spirituality, and it's not just about coaching what you've learned, it's about you connecting with your inner self and that higher power to them to find out where they're at. And as you quite rightly say, some are not ready, and you can feel it. You can feel it, and you can't push them, and you shouldn't, and we shouldn't, because everybody's at a different stage. And they've got to, and it is about encouraging them. We are planting those seeds, and it's encourage them gently. Some might need a bit of a push, but you feel that as well. And it is about
Yeah,
using that spiritual connection with each and every one to know what you can do from what you can't do. And it is,
right.
and it's that's so wonderful. And it is that spiritual side that you're helping to connect them to so that they can use it in their life.
And I'd like to add something, because one thing that I can do that doesn't feel spiritual to a lot of people that they really catch on with is that to really stop and acknowledge yourself for every little small victory that you have every day. You don't have
Yes,
to worry about these big, huge goals, but every little small step that you take forward, that's in your business life, in your personal life, in your spiritual life, whatever it is, it's important to breathe and acknowledge that and find some way to celebrate that, because that builds the heart muscle, that builds the gratitude, that builds the joy of living, and it helps to raise their vibration and to be a whole new
yes.
person versus focusing on beating themselves up. So in a quote non-spiritual way, something really simple and grounded like that is really helpful for everyone that I work with, no matter where they are on path.
Yes, you're right. Because we don't, sometimes we're looking for the big steps. But as you said, and earlier on as well, we need to take some little steps, and we need to acknowledge those little steps, because a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the one step at a time. If you don't take it, you won't get there. So it is about encouraging people, and letting them, and encourage them to acknowledge those little steps and those little things that they are, they've gone through, and feel good about themselves, because it's not easy. What they're
No.
going through is not easy. It's a transformation. Transformation, and to all my viewers, we know transformation is not easy. What we've gone through, and the misinformation we've been taking on, and we've been nurtured with from when we're young. And now we have to really transform all that knowledge into a higher knowledge, which is really us. It is not easy, and it is
Right.
one step at a time. And to feel proud of ourselves that we started the journey.
Right. The visual I like to give to people, years ago, I went with a friend up to Juneau, Alaska, and it was a time that the salmon were swimming upstream to mate with their mates. And there's this big raging river that's coming down, and these salmon are huge, and they're swimming upstream. And I said, that's what we're like. we're swimming upstream, and we have to keep on working. And it's like we're going against the societal norms, and it's
Yes,
not going to be easy. And that visual seems to resonate with people, because when I saw it and when I felt it within myself, it's like, yeah, I am a salmon swimming upstream. I cannot sit still and not do anything. I must practice and continue to step forward every start over again.
that's right.
So that's one of the visuals that I like to use and give to people.
No, that's fantastic, because I say with my people that we are this powerful being. We just need to believe, wake up, and start flexing those muscles. And we are very capable of making that transformation, just like the salmon, because we are this. The salmon is the salmon. The salmon is not a whale or a shark. It is a salmon, and as such, it's built and it's programmed to go up that stream, to fight their way up that stream, to not turn around and to keep going. And because of who we are as beings, where we carry the DNA of the Creator, we're built, we can do it. And it is that case of always encouraging people and helping them to have that confidence in themselves and keep going no matter what.
Right. Because in some moments it might feel really dark, like I'm
Yeah.
trying and I'm moving and but I'm not getting anywhere. Well, in those moments, maybe the victory is that you're not being pushed off center and you're still standing,
Yes,
and you're not going backwards. Because the way the world is right now, it is difficult, and it is
very.
challenging, but it's very, very rewarding as well.
Yes,
Because as
yes,
we step into more love and as we expand out more, um, we experience more love and more joy, even if we're so aware of all the stuff inside of ourselves that still need to be released and let go of.
yes. And I'm feeling in the times we're living, and I find they're very exciting times. And I keep on saying to this, I'm saying to a few, these are exciting times we're living in, because so much is being opened up to us so that we can have these tools to be as we want to be. It's not closed anymore. And we're beginning to talk about it. And it's not the taboo as it was in the days. And like my program is, bring it all out. Let's all talk about it so that people have these choices to use at their fingertips to help them in their life. And I think this is so wonderful. We're living in that time. We really have to be grateful. It's a beautiful time.
Yeah, gratitude is so key to everything, to
Yes,
manifestation, to being more expanded out, to raising our vibration. Gratitude is key to everything from the heart.
very much so. Very much so. Um, is there anything else that you would like to say? I You say you have online courses and you do. How can people get in touch with you on your online courses?
Well, probably the easiest way is to just get in touch with me through my website. And I do teach, spiritual courses online. They might be the wrong time for you guys in London, but I do have friends in Australia who do the same kind of spiritual courses, online, that are in the same group that I'm in, who could facilitate people in your time zone. But if they want to work with me as a coach or mentor,
Mhm.
my website is Jewel, Jewel, like the diamond,
Yes,
consultancy, consultancy.com. And on there, I have all kinds of videos to help you be calm, and leadership videos. And I also have a huge blog that can answer any kind of question you have. And you can connect with me through that. And whatever questions you have, I'm happy to guide you, whether it's working with me or another friend that I have in Australia, which is maybe a better time zone for you guys to
great.
work with people in the London area.
Thank you. So just to reiterate, you're at jewelconsultancy.com.
Right,
Just Jewel, Jewel consultancy.com.
right. And one more thing, if you see my name up here, Arlene Cohen-Miller, if you is that on your screen, my name?
Yes, Arlene
Okay,
Cohen-Miller.
If you Google that, you'll see all the places on social media that you can find me as well.
Fine. Arlene, thank you so much for sharing what you do. Thank you so much for even. It's so interesting that you started off as an attorney of law, and then you transformed into this spiritual, because it's coming from spirit high. It's got to be deeper, and recognizing that we need this to help us in our lives, and it does cover the whole gamut of our lives on all that we're going through. Arlene, thank you so much indeed. Thank you for getting up so early in the morning to do this podcast with us. And I can say to my viewers, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you've got some nuggets from this podcast. And as we've said before, if you want to contact Arlene, of course, it's Arlene Cohen-Miller, and you can Google that online, or you can at her website, which is jewelconsultancy.com. Once again, Arlene, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.